people are gonna consume marijuana. They've been doing it forever.
It seems a little bit backwards for them to be passing something like this in the midst of, what seems like a federal push towards greater availability.
Let me get you caught up. See, back in 1937, the federal government banned marijuana. The guy who ran that campaign argued that it made jazz musicians dangerous. Now, he did that with a straight face. They weren't really hiding the racism back then. That's the legal foundation that it's still pretty much based on today. 2018, Congress legalizes hemp, anything under 0.3% Delta 9 THC levels. The problem is, lawmakers wrote the rule around one molecule, but chemistry ain't that simple, and potheads are pretty creative. God bless America. Before long, the market was flooded with Delta 8 THC, Delta 10 THC, THCA. These are variants of the THC chemical. Well, they get you high as well, turns out. And they've been sold all over the South. Gas stations, corner shops, vape shops. That's what we call the hemp loophole. Now, last year in 2025, Tennessee and Alabama both slammed that loophole shut, kind of aggressively, frankly.
The viability of being able to prevent people from using cannabis products is proven to not be a thing. Nonetheless, I think they felt like they could eradicate all cannabis consumption by actually making hemp products unavailable.
Kind of been the Wild West, and then Alabama came in so hard and devastated a lot of small business owners.
We are certainly seeing that people are having to shut down their businesses, and this has been very chaotic and problematic for them.
I spoke to one business owner in particular. They ran a gas station who sold these exact products, and they sold a lot of them. So much so that they decided to open up a second store selling only these products. Now, as they were opening up the store, they filled out all of their inventory. They put the signs up, they had it all decorated, and then they got shut down. That guy did everything right. He wasn't selling weed gummies on the kids' candy aisle next to the other gummies. He put them in a separate store, and he'd card you just to go in that store. He followed the law to the letter. And it only cost them about $30,000 to figure out they can just change the letter whenever they want. Okay, obvious question here. Why?
The big argument for this ban was it's the Wild West. People don't know what they're buying out there.
I would also like to see it regulated because I don't like the lack of homogeneity in the products. And I think it's important that we're actually seeing consistency and that we're making sure that products are safe.
Okay, real problems did show up with the THC. Here's the thing. No testing, no labels. Those are real concerns. But that's an argument based on rules.
Do not fight for legislation to ban something because it's the Wild West, when just legalizing something would make it so that it didn't have to be.
Right. We do need rules on THC, but we don't need to outlaw it as a criminal offense.
They're gonna find a way. And so essentially banning the substance does nothing but leaves tax dollars on the table, and then leaves more room for danger and error for people who are going to consume this product anyways.
Prohibition isn't regulation. It's, by definition, zero regulation. No testing, no labels, no warnings. If the problem was an unregulated market, a ban doesn't fix the market. It just changes who runs it.
I think that it is going to go back to the way it was when I was in high school. I think that people of all walks of life who have this substance is now built into their quality of life. It's built into the way that they have learned to function, whether that is for pain or that is for PTSD or it is just for recreation. It's going to go back to, the trunk of some guy's car.
And so I imagine it'll be filled by some group, people who operate criminal organizations, who sell other illicit substances, and see an opportunity the government has created totally by choice. Like, this is a choice to make life difficult when they don't have to.
Yeah. Cartels.
Yeah. Yes, probably.
Cartels. See, America has a weird relationship with THC. If you get it from a dispensary, it's medicine. If it's in your pocket, it's a misdemeanor. And if you're selling it on that guy's shelves, I guess it's a felony. One chemical, 3 legal realities, 0 logic. But here's the thing. 63% of Tennesseans are in favor of cannabis legalization. But Tennessee did just pass one of the strictest hemp laws in the country. Both of those should not be true.
Cannabis is, we've been doing studies for years, and across the board, they've all been well above 50%. People support some form of legalization. It's wildly unpopular to go in the other direction. I know that my colleagues collectively, we have the votes to pass it in the Senate, and I'm sure that we do in the House as well. It's just a few powerful people who have been kind of preventing that from happening.
Here's the thing about the loophole years. That was a preview. That's what it would look like if cannabis was legalized. 7 years, we got legal weed. People could get high legally without making themselves a criminal. And what ended up happening? Nothing.
Again, it's like these extremes in Alabama where, hey, let's make it legal. Oh, this is working well. Let's immediately destroy it.
Were there any specific cases of unsafe products that were being sold or major complaints?
Nope. I didn't hear of any. I wasn't in the committees where they were being presented, so I didn't hear any.
No mass chaos, no economic collapse, no anarchy in the streets, just silly smiles and a ton of revenue.
I think that there are some people who they tend to be older, sort of war on drugs types of people who are egg in a frying pan. This is your brain on drugs kind of thing. But, we're not living in that era.
And so I also think that, again, as a citizen, but also as someone running for office, anything we can do to give farmers more options for how to utilize their land, we should 1,000% be doing that. And this is just, I think, one example of the state leaders and the 16 years of one-party rule in the state just being totally out of touch with how best can we serve people. Instead, it's very punitive in nature, and this is just one example of it.
So, if the accidental experiment didn't fail, why did it end? Why'd that gas station owner get shafted so hard by his freaking local government? Why? Simple. None of us ever voted on it. In fact, they didn't even ask. So in 26 states, if politicians ignore the voters have a key of sorts. It's called a ballot initiative. Collect signatures, put it to a vote. That's how Missouri got legal weed. Arkansas. I see you, Arkansas. Let's go. But Alabama and Tennessee are two states where that key doesn't exist. Here, the door only opens from the inside. You can knock forever. Nobody has to answer. The bill that would install a doorknob is currently inside. And the people on the inside, well, they like it that way. What is the downside to having a ballot initiative process?
The downside is the current people in power don't get to keep their power. But it allows, if a bill can get a majority of votes, it should pass. And it really should be that simple in democracy. But what's happening is people in power are killing things in committee due to whatever self-interest they may have. And I think that happens just way too often in this state.
What's the difference in the Alabama legislation?
So Alabama regulated. Tennessee did something different. Tennessee picked a winner. They didn't just ban Delta 8 and THCA, and they handed whatever survived to a brand new regulator.
So it went from the agricultural division, our farmers, to the alcohol division.
They got us. That's a disgusting conflict of interest, folks. Honestly, alcohol's had the monopoly on intoxication for 100 years now?
I think it's part of kind of this scarcity mindset that alcohol can't survive if cannabis is going to thrive here. And I find that very interesting. My husband works in wine in the state of Tennessee, but his product comes from California, where both products do have the opportunity to thrive.
They both can be popular. The two go great together in a way, I'm told. If you're sitting there from a legal state, feeling all high and mighty, I got news for you, bud. November 12th this year, a federal law, House Resolution 5371, rewrites what hemp means in all 50 states. A new cap, 0.4 milligrams a container. That's not a cap, that's a punchline. The industry claims that will wipe out 95% of hemp in this country. Gummies, drinks, all of it, everywhere. And here's the familiar part. The law never got its own vote. Shocking, I know. It was a rider stitched into the bill that ended the government shutdown last fall. Does that sound familiar? Oh, and if you heard weed was getting rescheduled federally, well, it's true. Different track, different molecule. Medical only, touches nothing we've talked about. Damn. So why does the government think that they can't actually provide meaningful oversight and regulation to THC. We already know what that looks like. It's on every beer commercial. Please drink responsibly. Freedom plus honest advice. Refreshing, really. That's it. That's the whole model. Lawmakers treat people who drink alcohol like they're adults. As they should. You know who else they should treat like adults? Adults. The question was never whether the problem was real. It's whether fixing it really has to screw over these business owners and consumers. So where does this go? 3 dominoes are standing right now. First, Alabama's House Bill 14. It's finally a chance for Alabama to get a ballot initiative process. That bill is sitting in the legislature, which is the same legislature that the bill would allow us to go around. It's kind of awkward. Watch out for that one. Second, November 12th. Nothing really changes except the hemp industry as a whole pretty much goes the way of that guy's shop I showed you at the start. Third, the DEA is actually holding hearings to reschedule marijuana right now. And that one could reshape everything we just talked about. Oh, one last thing before you go. Americans were asked this year by the Pew Research whether marijuana should be legal, medicinally, recreationally, or neither. 88% said either medical or medical and recreational. 11% said no, none of that should be legal. 11. Total prohibition. That position is an 11% position. Well, congratulations, 11%. You win. For now.